This week on The Gadget Show, one of the strangest things we've ever tested, a machine designed purely to annoy anyone under 25. Stay tuned and you can test it out for yourself. Also on tonight, online gambling, the amazing technology of Telepresence, and Tom Dunmore with some very cool corkscrews. But first, John.
One gadget that has always fascinated me is the Bose Wave radio. Why? Well, every Sunday paper I've ever bought seems to have an advert for one. But I don't know anyone who owns one. You never see them in the shops, and the adverts never say how much they are. And there's a new one out, so I really wanted to find out more. And I've got one, at last! And not just the ordinary Wave radio, but the latest Bose Wave music system, which has a CD player in it as well. The first impressions are very favourable. It's slightly smaller than I expected, but it's a very attractive piece of design, and the plastics have a lovely feel. But before we go any further, there's one big question. How much does it cost? Apparently, if you delve deeply into the website, you can find out the price. Here we are, bose.co.uk. Let's click on the image to find out more. Product details, features and benefits. Ah, here we go, pricing. Well, I can get it by installments, obviously. Ah, here, in little figures. £449. Gosh, this is more exclusive than I thought. How do they justify that price? Well, the Wave's name comes from its speaker system, invented by Dr. Bose. As well as coming out forwards, the sound also travels through 26 inches worth of aural baffles. This allegedly gives a fuller and deeper sound than you'd expect from such a compact case. Coupled with a suspension system that isolates CDs from unwanted vibrations, and some digital sound processing, and you get a very superior sound, or so they say. Right, time to switch it on. There's no aerial to connect, just a mains lead. Refreshingly simple. And also, you'll note there are no buttons on it. Everything's controlled by this credit card-sized remote. Switch it on. Good. Interestingly, there's just FM and medium wave. There's no DAB, no long wave for that matter. Although it's quite easy to tune in automatically when you do get RDS station display. And CDs slip neatly into the front. Let's see how it sounds. And on this classical music, it's okay, actually. It sounds smooth, there's a sort of presence to it. It certainly sounds much bigger than it looks. Though I'm not certain there isn't a bit of an artificial bassness and echo to the sound, which I think I might get irritated with after a while. But overall, pretty favourable. And so it should be for 450 quid. But how does it stack up against other compact music systems? To find out, we decided to test it against the highly rated Denon DM35 DAB, available for under £300, and the £115 Panasonic SCEN9, which has a bit of style about it. And rather than just taking my word for it, we've come to Griffin Audio in Birmingham to test them on some of the best ears we know. Top hi-fi expert John, sound engineer Matthew, dubbing mixer Neil, and sound recordist Sam. Now, for each system, we're going to play them a bit of opera by Mozart, something more contemporary by Block Party, and because the producer thought it was a good idea, a poem read by me for them. Our jury were blindfolded, and we then played the Mozart on each of the three systems to see which they preferred. How would the equipment cope with the music's wide dynamic range and reproduce the concert hall acoustic? Next, I played Block Party to test the system's abilities with powerful percussive rock. Finally, to see how each system reproduced speech, our sound experts listened to my rendition of The Little Dog's Day by Rupert Brooke. Unseen by man, a little dog danced, and the day began. All his life he'd been good as far as he could, and the poor little beast had done all that he should. But this morning he swore by Odin and Thor. So, after listening to all three systems, how did our sound gurus rate them?
3 was definitely the best, and I thought 2 was the worst.
3 was definitely the best, but I think that 1 was probably the worst.
3 is the best, 1 was the worst.
Number 3 was by far the best, but 1 and 2 both had their very bad points. Yeah.
On balance, then, the least liked was our System 1, the £115 Panasonic, narrowly beaten by System 2, the £449 Bose. But way out on top was System 3, the £300 Denon.
I think the Denon represents cracking value for money. The Bose, oh dear.
For £450, you should be getting, you know, fantastic sound quality.
I'd rather part with the £150 or whatever it was for the Panasonic system, if that was the choice.
I mean, for the quality of sound, the Bose is very expensive.
I feel as if the Bose is an elaborate clock radio that would sit on your bedside table.
As a design icon, the Bose has undoubtedly made its mark. But if you're really interested in sound quality, you're probably better off looking elsewhere.
Now it's time for one of our regular guides aimed at helping you get the most out of your gadgets. This week, how to convert your iTunes music to other formats. Up to 80% of all digital music players sold in this country are iPods, and using the iTunes software, they compress music using the AAC file format. AAC is exclusive to Apple, which on the face of it means an awful lot of us have an enormous amount of digital music that can only be played on one type of device. So what happens when you fancy a change and decide to buy a different digital music player? How do you liberate your collection of music from iTunes? Well, with a bit of luck, your iPod replacement will come with some music management software that could help you. Once installed, it should automatically scan your computer for music tracks and then convert them into a file type it can understand. It will reduce the quality of your music, but it's certainly quicker than loading in all of your CDs again. If there are just a few tracks on iTunes that you want to send to another player, then you can convert them from AAC yourself. Go to Preferences, Advanced, and change Import Using to the Universal Format MP3, something every player can read. Then highlight your selected tracks and under Advanced click Convert to MP3. iTunes then makes a copy of each track as an MP3 in your library. Copy and paste these into a new folder, which can be imported by your other player. Again, unfortunately, this can affect quality. The previous techniques work for music that you've loaded in yourself from a CD, but be warned, Apple won't let you convert any music you've bought directly from their music store. They encode their tracks with what's called digital rights management, and it's intended to stop people copying music and sharing it. A third-party MP3 player simply won't recognise music like this. However, there is a way around it. You can burn all the tracks you've bought from iTunes to CD. Then re-import them in whatever format your new digital music player understands. It's your music, you've bought it, you're playing it on something you own. There is life after iPod.
Coming up, Tom Dunmore with some very cool gadget corkscrews. But first, Jason.
Now that we're established as Britain's leading TV technology show, every morning our inboxes are stuffed full of press releases from anyone with gadgets they want to show. A lot of them are, quite frankly, rubbish, but we do come across the odd gem, the kind of technology that it's hard to believe exists outside the realms of science fiction. So in our constant quest to try and provide you with something with which you can wow your mates down the pub, here's a few of the more amazing gadgets we found recently. This is a prototype device from Japanese mobile phone giants Docomo, and there's only one in the world, which unfortunately is in a Japanese lab. But that doesn't stop me explaining the science to you. It's the world's first wearable ring finger phone. You pop the ring on your finger, And when you receive a call, the device converts the sound waves into vibrations that travel up your finger bone. All you've got to do to make or receive a call is click your fingers. Hello? Mom, I've told you, don't call me at work. Just jam your digit into your ear and the vibrations travel down your finger bone and into your lug hole. And seeing as it's vibrations that enable your eardrum to hear, the person at the other end of the phone sounds as clear as day. Recently released in America, and coming over here hopefully in the next 6 months, is the Babble voice privacy system. In an open plan office like this, obviously privacy is non-existent.
Look, it's green and swollen.
So how do you go about having a sensitive conversation without everyone around you hearing it? Well, you connect a Babble to your phone and point its 2 speakers at your co-workers. The Babble broadcasts disjointed portions of your speech based on changes in the tone and volume of your voice. These mask your actual conversation, making it sound more like a small crowd. It's kind of like the hum you get in a room full of people where your brain finds it hard to distinguish one particular voice. So, as an example, if I can understand the thing I'm saying, or if I can voice in the edit, voice with my chances are you want to talk, and we mess with my understand. See? This device is called the Mosquito. It may look like a security light, but it's a lot more inventive than that. It's designed by a British company to ward off gangs of kids who hang around outside shops, generally making a nuisance of themselves. And it does so by emitting an ultra-high frequency sound that is painful to anyone under the age of 25. It's similar to the non-lethal sound weapons used by the US Army in Iraq to combat rioters. And incredibly, it's designed to only affect people under 25. I wonder. On the left, we have the girls. They're both 24. And on the right, we have the boys. They're both the other side of 25. In theory, the girls should be susceptible to the Mosquito, and the boys shouldn't. So, let's find out. Now, we should warn you that those of you at home under 25 will be able to hear this through your TV speakers, and it might be uncomfortable. So if you don't fancy it, run away now. Have they gone? Good. Then we can begin. Those of you blessed with youth who are watching at home should be able to hear this right now. Our youthful gadgeteers certainly can.
It's extremely high-pitched, very, very, very high-pitched noise.
It's just really squeaky. It's like a irritating, piercing, your brain type sound.
I can't hear it. Can you hear anything?
Can't hear a thing.
You're older than me.
Oh, well, there we go.
Can we turn it off now, please?
It works by emitting a high-pitched ultrasonic tone that is really unpleasant to anyone that hears it. Brilliantly, due to natural hearing deterioration, the frequency is one that most people over 25 can't actually hear anymore, so it should just target the young tearaways.
Makes me just want to run away.
This is a disposable camcorder from America. I'll say that again. It's a disposable camcorder. It costs you about $30 or £17. It'll take 20 minutes of footage at 640 by 480 resolution, and it couldn't be simpler. You just switch it on, pressing this button. Ooh, it's rather snazzy. What you're shooting comes up on this full colour screen, 1.5 inches. It's got a really good update on it. It's gorgeous, isn't it? And the quality, they say, is something akin to VHS. Let's start it recording. Okay, there's even a red light on the front. So, I record now. When I'm finished with it, when I've filled up my 20 minutes worth of footage, I simply return it to the pharmacy where I bought it from, and they give me in return a DVD with the footage on it. Amazing. It's because technology has moved on so much that this is possible. Components are just so cheap now. This camera records onto a 128 meg flash memory card. You click the button, it records instantly. There's no tape to worry about, there's no sound levels, there's no zoom, okay, which, you know, could be a bit of a problem. Pretty cool. And because it's so cheap, you can do all sorts of things you'd never do with your £1,000 camcorder. Carpet-covered skateboard video. Run! pop quiz. What was invented in 1936 has appeared on the back of an Apache attack helicopter and is going to revolutionise the world in such a subtle way you probably won't even notice it. Paper-thin, electroluminescent technology. Once used as low-glare, low-heat guidance panels on aircraft, it's a light source that has finally become cheap enough to move into the public domain. It'll soon be replacing the backlit posters you see on bus stops and billboards. The classic neon light will become a thing of the past, as will ordinary shop signs and posters, but that's only the start. These are just a few examples from Brit company EL International, one of the new champions of this technology. But how does it work? Let me show you. Behind these posters are a series of ridiculously thin cables and panels. Some of them are only 1/4 of a millimetre thick. Inside are layers of the organic chemical phosphor. When it's specially treated and an electrical current is passed through it, the phosphor crystals glow, producing all these lovely bright colours. And it uses pretty much no power. You get this amount of light from up to 90% less electricity than other solutions, and it's reliable. Because it's made up of millions and millions of phosphor particles, it doesn't just break. One particle dies, then another and another, until eventually all these lovely bright colours gently fade away. But for me, the most amazing thing about EL paper is that it's flexible. And yes, it is machine washable. People are now working on smaller power sources, think mobile phone batteries. When that technology is perfected, EL devices can become completely self-contained units that can go anywhere, on anything. Which all means that the future is going to be very, very bright.
Now it's time for our regular look at some of the coolest gadgets around. This week, corkscrews. Here's Tom Dunmore with the critical list.
If you're still struggling with old-school corkscrews like this one, then fear not. There's a wealth of high-tech alternatives out there that will help get that party started just a little bit quicker. This is the Screw Pull Active Ball, which apparently has a patented double helix self-pulling and auto-ejection system, which looks a little bit like a ball on a corkscrew. But let's see how it works. We put the top over here, start screwing it in. Now, this presumably will do the self-pulling. There you go. Pretty much like any other corkscrew. It's also got an auto-ejection system. You just have to turn it the other way by the look of it. So, it's not a great leap forward from where we were before in terms of opening a bottle, but there are some more gadgety solutions out there. Next up is the Houdini, which is not only dead easy to use, it's also remarkably robust. In laboratory tests, it managed 20,000 cork pulls. So if you have one bottle of wine a day, it will last you for 60 years. And if you're still gagging for more, you get a free screw in the box. First up, the free foil cutter to take the top off the bottle, like that. So you clamp this around the neck of the bottle, pushing the lever in, and then you pull this, and out it comes. And it's pretty easy to get the cork off there as well. You just pull it once more, and there you go, the cork is done. If that all seems like too much hard work for you, there is an electrical corkscrew. This is a rechargeable one, which again sits on the top like this, and then it's just a case of pressing a button and waiting for the corkscrew to do its job. Wait a few moments and voila, it's done. In order to get it out, you just press the other way and eventually it will pop out. There you go. You can't ask for anything more than that, surely. Next up is this high-end corkscrew from Screw Pull. This would be the ideal complement to any bachelor pad. It's really nicely made, quite heavy and firm. Again, comes with its own foil cutter. So, take that off. Now, It just sits over the top like that. You hold it in place and it's that easy. Really is a simple to use and high-tech bit of kit. Out comes the cork and you're ready to go. If you want the fun of bubbly at a party without the health and safety implications, then you could try something like this, a kind of harness to keep the cork from smashing your expensive lighting. Once you've got the foil in the cage off, slit this safety cage over the top, twist, and it catches the cork for you. That's actually quite impressive, isn't it? Something worth celebrating, I'd say.
Gambling has always been big business. According to some estimates, £240 billion were wagered worldwide last year. Our government recently overhauled the country's old gambling laws that had been around since 1968 and the days of dodgy gangsters and smoky card dens. The new laws aim to make it safer and easier to gamble and look set to introduce American-style super casinos to the UK. Everyone will be throwing on their evening gowns and heading to Blackpool, the new Vegas. The gambling laws were also changed to regulate something that has revolutionised gambling over the last 10 years.
These days, there's no need to get all dressed up to bet the lot on red. You don't even need to leave the comfort of your own home. We're talking about one of the biggest money-making phenomena to ever hit the internet: online gambling. It's one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Every year, £7 billion are spent in online casinos, and there are literally thousands of sites very happy to take the money.
In fact, the owners of Party Poker, the world's largest poker site, recently floated on the London Stock Exchange for nearly £6 billion. That's a lot of money.
There's also a lot of players. In the UK alone, 4 million people place a bet online every month.
Whatever your game of choice, there's something for you. Blackjack, roulette, craps, even fruit machines. You can bet on the football, horse racing, darts, wrestling, anything you like.
The most popular online game, though, is poker. In 2005, an estimated £1.5 billion was spent on internet poker games. That's twice as much as the year before and 10 times that of 2002.
Some people out there are even turning the skills they learn online into real-world abilities. Last year, $1 million poker prize at a competition in Costa Rica was won by a 28-year-old chef from Blackpool. He qualified for the final table after playing against thousands of others in a free-to-enter internet tournament. And it's working both ways. The last 3 World Series of poker winners all keep on top of their games by playing online. One of them is the brilliantly named Chris Moneymaker. And making money is what lots of people are trying to do. Some students are even supplementing their loans with stints at online tables. One internet player, Doug Speed, took £40,000 in winnings in his first year studying maths at Oxford.
So is this an easy way for me to make some fast cash?
Here we go. All you do is log into a site, add some money from your credit card, choose an available seat at a table, and away you go. Come on. You get a little character to represent you, and betting, folding and checking is controlled with the F keys. Check. You're free to leave the table and go elsewhere at any time, although that didn't change my fortunes.
No!
Useless.
OK, so maybe I need a little bit more practice, but losing money isn't the only downside of gambling on the internet.
When you don't have to go to the casino, bingo hall or bookies, it's all too easy to lose track of time. As a result, charities have seen a rise in gambling addiction due to its increased accessibility.
Some people even lose the perception that what they're playing for is real money.
The casino sites are doing what they can to encourage responsible gaming, but like everyone else, they are there to make money. And where there's money to be made, there'll be people trying to cheat.
One potential problem is something called collusion. Basically, that's when people get together and they all play the same table, and they tell each other what cards they've got. So you get reeled in, they take your money. As well as cheats stacking the odds against you, there are also people out there who are using, wait for it, robots in online casinos. Okay, so they're not real robots. They're computer bots that play the game for you. Crucially, they weigh up the odds, only playing when they think they can win.
They're easily found on the internet for a price, and some people claim to be making a lot of money with them.
They never get tired, they never get greedy, they never get emotional. Funnily enough, they play like robots.
But they're not cheap. You have to program some yourselves, and if caught using one, your account would be closed and any money in it confiscated. Nobody's sure how widespread their use is. Only time will tell.
I'll leave you with this worrying thought, though. It's been claimed that soon you could be in a tournament with 100 players, and 99 of them would be bots.
I'm an unashamed, fully paid-up member of the Virtual World Appreciation Society. I'll happily spend hours online, living other lives, in other worlds, fighting dragons on the rim of an erupting volcano, or flying spaceships through distant galaxies. It's brilliant. It's escapism. It lets me live the life of a superhero or an intergalactic cowboy without leaving the comfort of my own home. But some people say I'm a bit sad, that I should get out there and explore the real world, taste some of the diverse environments that our planet has to offer. But have you seen it out there? Oh, I'm sure there's lots of lovely stuff to see, like waterfalls, sunsets and dolphins. But to get to them, you've got to fight your way through everything else that's going on. War, pestilence, disease, dog poo. It's flipping scary. Happily, though, right now, all around this big, scary planet, men with large, shiny foreheads are working on a technology that will enable you to get out and experience the real world, to go anywhere you like without leaving the security of your own house. It's a technology called Telepresence, and it's astounding. Now, if you spend your working life in a suit and tie, it's likely you'll be used to this setup. It's called teleconferencing, and using an audio and video circuit, it allows you to attend an important meeting in, say, New York, while never moving from your desk in, say, Manchester. Telepresence works on the same principle, that of electronically giving you a presence somewhere else. It's just that it takes that principle a little bit further. Well, quite a lot further, actually. Isn't that right, guys?
Yes, Jason.
You see, telepresence won't just connect you with another environment. It'll create a complete sense of actually being present in that environment and being able to physically interact with it. But how does it work? Well, here's me topless to demonstrate. To begin with, the user is biometrically scanned so that the length of his reach, the height of his eyes and his other physical characteristics can be faithfully represented. Then sensors are attached all over his body so that every turn of his head, bend of his arm and step he takes can be monitored. The sensors are also capable of feeding back pressure, heat or cold to the user's skin. A helmet fitted with high-definition stereoscopic video screens and surround sound allows him to see and hear the remote environment in real time, as if he's there. The user is then connected via an ultra-fast communications link to a robot in the remote environment, which will then mimic any movements the user makes. Here at Salford University's Centre for Robotics and Automation, they're working on something of a prototype Freddie Flintoff. Imagine I'm Freddie, here in England, wearing a telepresent glove, while my other self, the telepresent robotic Freddie, is over in Sydney, facing the Aussies. It's a crucial point in the series. England have got to get this catch to win the match. Yes! This is no trick. I really am catching that ball using telepresence. How brilliant is this technology? And they're now working on sensors that'll be built into the telepresent glove, so you'll be able to touch, smell and feel things happening thousands of miles away.
sensation is really extraordinary. I don't know if you're getting a sense of it. That movement there, that's my finger moving down on this object. Now, obviously, this object isn't really in front of me, it's on the screen, but I can feel it. As I move my fingers around, I can feel that texture. It's extraordinary. I'll just show you actually what's happening inside. If I can just open it. Can you bring the camera in there? Those tiny little pins there, they're feeding back to my finger the shape of that virtual object. In fact, if you look on my finger, you can see, look, the indentation that they've caused. The possibilities for the military, for medicine, even video games are mind-boggling.
Right now, it's a technology in its infancy, but it's a technology that's already having an impact. This is the Pebbles robot, and according to its makers, Telbotics, it's the world's first fully functioning telepresence application. It allows sick children in hospital to still attend school classes. They're linked to the classroom via two-way video and audio links, and the robot is kitted out with a scanner and printer so that essays can be handed in and homework set. Pebbles even means the student using it can put their hand up in class. And telepresence technology has been used in medicine for a while now. The first major transatlantic surgery was a telerobotic gallbladder operation performed by surgeons in New York on a patient in France 4 years ago. Since then, surgeons have regularly performed remotely controlled operations on patients many thousands of miles away. And wouldn't you know it, in the States they've developed a telepresence armed response unit called TRAP-2. This allows police officers to intervene in dangerous situations and return fire if required without even having to be in the same county as the bad guys. Experts we spoke to told us that designers of advanced robots like Hubo and Asimo are working on telepresence technology to use with their creations. And NASA are spending millions developing telepresence robots that could one day man missions to distant planets, while the astronauts controlling them remain safe on Earth.
It depends what your definition of fun is. I mean, there's no question that Suzi's having a great time over there with the Wii, and I'm a big fan of the console, but it's a very...